Well, as we know, the Colts have the best record in the league, and this woman right here, that would be Carlie Irsay-Gordon. She is hugely responsible for their success. You just can't lose with the combination of her and the team that they have put together. As we know, she took over ownership of the team when her father, Jim, passed away, and she is often seen on the sideline with her notebook and her pen taking notes. She's said publicly it's very important for her to understand everything that goes on during the game, and you have to respect that. We now welcome in our good friend Amy Trask. She was the first ever female CEO of an NFL team, and in a great article on CBSSports.com, Amy, you talked a little bit about seeing Carlie for the first time in 2004 with her father Jim at league meetings. You've seen her kind of since then and what she's done, and especially in the wake of her father's passing. I guess what's impressed you about how she's handled herself so far with the Colts?
Well, I will paraphrase both Al Davis and Frank Sinatra and say that she's doing it her way. And that has impressed me the most. When I went to my first league owners meeting, Bob Irsay was in the room. And by the way, one of the best ever comments at a league meeting was from Bob Irsay. And then Jim Irsay was in the room. And as you just noted, it was roughly 2004 when Jim first brought Carlie to the league meeting. I remember discussing with Jim how important it was to him that his daughters learn about the league. He wanted them to be ready for their jobs and to take over, and that's exactly what's gone on. Carlie has done everything she can to prepare herself for this role. She's evolving in this role. She's succeeding in this role. And based on my experience with her at that league meeting and years of working with her father, I am thrilled to see her succeeding. And as I said, she's doing it her way. And to those who have criticized her for being on the sideline, for doing that which she's doing, I have 3 words for them: 7 and 1. And I'll add a few more words. And I won't even bother counting them. Maybe it's 5 or 6 more words. Best record in the league. So she's doing it her way, and it's working, and I wish her the very best for success.
Oh my goodness, Amy, I think we just became best friends. I was raised in Indiana. I covered the Colts for 4 seasons, so that's my team, and I've watched the Irsay family and what they've done for that city, what his daughters have done, not just for the city, but for women in sports in general. They are an inspiration. They have a seat at the table. Of course, they belong at the table, and they have shown us all that we belong at the table too, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And she has prepared herself for this role. She has served on league committees. She has educated herself by learning everything about the organization, working in the ticket office, understanding marketing. She didn't just walk to the sideline the day she took over. She's been getting ready for this. And again, based on the conversations I had with her dad about his hopes for her success, and not just her sisters as well, I'm thrilled to see her doing this, and as Al and Frank Sinatra would say, doing it her way.
Oh my goodness, her father would be so proud, and the entire state of Indiana, I know I can say firsthand, they are very proud as well. All right, Amy, let's get to a little bit of football talk, down to the nitty gritty. You know firsthand what goes into making a front office change. It can be shocking or chaotic. It can be wanted. It can be needed. The Dolphins today parted ways with general manager Chris Grier, and of course, we know Miami hasn't had a great start to the year, but what goes into this decision, and how does it affect a team for the remainder of a season?
Well, it certainly will have an impact not only on the team, but on everyone throughout the organization. If I'm doing the math right, and I think we all know I quite often don't do the math right, but I believe he's been with the organization over a quarter of a century. I think it's been roughly 26 years. So he's got relationships throughout the building. Now, look, I am not surprised that Stephen made a change or wanted to make a change, and he's got decisions to make at the head coaching role as well. People have wondered, well, why make a change at GM right now in the middle of the season and not make a change at head coach? Why not do them both at the same time? Why not wait until after the season? And my hunch is it's because he has someone there, Champ Kelly, who could step into an interim role for Chris Greer. Champ did that for the Raiders not long ago. And he may not have, and I keep saying he, I'm referring, of course, to Stephen Ross, may not have felt that there's someone there to step in an interim basis, a temporary basis for the head coach. Now, look, they'll bring in a new general manager. Maybe Champ will get that job. Champ has been a candidate for many, many GM jobs. Maybe it will be someone else, and that person will undoubtedly want to go look for a head coach. Maybe they'll consider retaining Mike. Maybe they won't. But I will share with you a peeve I have, and this peeve goes back to my years in the league. I'm not a hot take artist, but I do get hot about this. When GMs are hired, we often hear them say, I want to get my guy, my guy, my guy. And I hate that expression, and here's why. The goal should be to get the right guy.
Yes.
And if you bring that person in, bring the right person in. But if there is the right person on staff, and I'm not suggesting in the Dolphins case there is or there isn't, well, then stick with the right guy. Let me tell you something. If you're hired as a general manager of a team and the equivalent of Vince Lombardi is there, well, guess what? That's your guy. Don't worry about your guy. Worry about getting the right guy.
My goodness. Those are words to live by if you work in the NFL. Amy, that's a fantastic take. I couldn't agree more. The goal is the right guy. So many people are caught up in that's my guy. No, who is the right guy?
Right.
I love that point, Amy. All right. The NFL trade deadline, as we know, is Tuesday. And it kind of goes without saying how active of a day the trade deadline is. How much coffee is consumed, Amy? How many phone calls are made? How many decisions and conversations are had? All the things I want to know behind the scenes from your perspective. Chaos? A good chaos?
It can be chaotic. I often looked around and thought, I think you guys are making this a little more chaotic than it needs to be. There are teams that actively are seeking to acquire players or to move players. And then there's a lot of teams that are just, what's the expression? Kicking the tires or tire kicking. And look, we all understand what that means. You may not be there to buy a new car or to really, well, I was going to say sell a new car, but I guess you don't kick the tires when you sell it. But you know what I mean. There's teams that aren't really looking to make a trade, but they're kicking tires. They want to know what's going on. So yes, there's a lot of activity. And then I used to laugh at how secretive people did. Yes, it's important to keep things confidential, but we're not talking about nuclear codes here. We're talking about a trade in the NFL. Oh, and by the way, there's also the people who dribble things out for their own benefit. So all of that's going on at teams right now.
Wow, we got the scoop. We got the 411 from Amy on the background. We love that. All right, you spent so many years as the Raiders CEO. Tell us your take. Should the Raiders be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline? We know that record right now for them is not boding well.
Well, I think fair enough if you want to look at what there is that you may wish to acquire. Is there a player? Do you have a particular area of need that you wish to fill? Or is there simply a terrific player that you want to add to your roster? So, go ahead, look around, see if you want to be a buyer. When it comes to being a seller, I will offer you this, and I will quote Al Davis, who at one point in my career said to me, demonstrating as he did, slamming his hand on the table, saying, you have to say, niet, niet, niet. And he was referring to a discussion I was having with third parties. Well, if anyone in the Raider organization is thinking, and it doesn't sound that they are, that Max Crosby is a potential trade, my answer is to quote Al Davis and say, niet, niet, niet. So may they be buyers? Possibly. Might they be sellers? Maybe. But niet, niet, niet to selling Max Crosby.
All right, Amy, we do have some breaking news we want to get to right now and get your thoughts on it. This just in out of the NFL, where the league office has fined the Ravens $100,000 for incorrectly listing Lamar Jackson as a full participant at last Friday's practice. That's the latest from our Jonathan Jones. We know Jackson was retroactively downgraded from a full participant to a limited participant last week before ultimately being ruled out against the Bears. Amy, what's your take on this situation?
I think it's a fair resolution of the matter. I think it's smart that the league resolved it promptly, and I think it's a fair resolution. The moment I heard about this issue, my immediate thought was, they made a mistake. Look, Hanlon's razor teaches us that we should not always attribute to malice that which could be explained by stupidity. And no, Ravens fans, I'm not saying your team is stupid. I think the world of the team owner, I think the world of the GM, the coach, but Hanlon's razor says don't necessarily assume that something is attributable to malice when it could have been a mistake. And the moment, and by the way, I used to share that with Al all the time. He would say, the league is doing this to get us, these people are doing this to get us. And I would say, no, 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 not everyone is out to get you. Don't always attribute to malice that which can be explained by stupidity or incompetence or a mistake. I think the Ravens made a mistake. The mistake they made is a mistake that happens at other teams. I think the punishment is fair. The matter's resolved. Now, is there inside information, and does the league need to do all it can to protect that information and make sure nothing malicious is done with it? Absolutely, positively. But do mistakes happen when no malice is intended? Absolutely, positively. I think this is fair and just.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make a good analysis there, a good point there. JJ reports that the NFL believes the violation was more negligent than nefarious, leading to a fine as opposed to a loss of draft picks. Amy, we appreciate the time, the insight, the motivational quotes. We got it all from Amy today. All right, don't forget to tune in to CBS Sports HQ for your game day recap. That is Sunday at 8:20. Everything that you need to know from the full slate of games that day with some of your favorite characters there on the screen.